Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 27. It is called The Alternative Factor. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. First up, apologies that we had another week off, which we did not plan. You can blame Connor for forgetting when his anniversary is the culprit.
He makes it sound worse than it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you thought the date was the Saturday instead of the Sunday, which is not as bad as forgetting when the date is, but still. But yeah, so alternative factor. So this was actually a really good episode of Star Trek, and it
Yeah.
was also a really weird episode of Star Trek. Well, it wasn't actually that weird. It was quite straightforward once it all kind of got going. But the imagery was certainly very weird. When it first hits you with this weird, trippy, Kubrick-esque fading between stars and blue negative space lighting and all sorts
Yeah.
of
Combined with
shenanigans
the shaking.
combined with the shaking. Uh, I cracked a joke. I sent Connor a message saying, "Did David Lynch direct this?" When it first started going wacky like that.
Yeah, and I was a bit ahead of you at this point. I was
Yeah,
like, I said about just wait.
yeah, and I don't want to really say why it's even more David Lynchy as it goes on because that would spoil
Yep.
something else. But let's just say there's a lot of parallels that one could make with a certain other Lynch property. So what is the Lazarus? The Lazarus? I was going to call it the Lazarus contractor. There's a character in it called Lazarus, which is why obviously I
Yes.
said that. Um, but basically, something weird happens in the space-time continuum. Gravity and magnetism basically fluctuate for a second, which is strange because those shouldn't do that. Those are pretty constant things,
Yes.
uh, in the universe. But they as Spock puts it, they blink, and it seems to be related to the life form they pick up on this planet down below. So they go down and check. Turns out to this guy named Lazarus, and they have this weird encounter when he first meets him where he's like, "Oh, there's something we have to go and hunt. There's this mad thing, this creature, this beast that's going to do some bad things." And then he falls, he gets injured. They bring him back up to the ship, and we start to get these weird episodes where he starts freaking out, and it goes into this, like I say, this weird space, negative blue space, cameras shaking, and there's images of two figures in this negative space kind of choking each other and wrestling, just kind of
Yeah.
for dominance, really. Really simple stuff within all the weird stuff wrapped around it. It basically what it is as the episode goes on, you kind of it becomes clear. There's little hints that show you that there's actually two versions of this person, and they seem to be switching every time one of these weird events happens. One of these episodes, there's a switch. The main tell of this is that there's a cut in one of their heads, and McCoy noticed that he had a cut and then it went away, and then another episode happens and the cut's back, and it's like, okay, right, so it's not just that he heals quick, because that's maybe the first, but that's what McCoy's thinking. Oh, he's got like superhuman healing. This is insane. There was not even a bruise when it came
Solid
back.
logic at that point.
Yeah, but then it comes back, and it's like, okay, right, I get it. We're dealing with a doppelganger.
And Kirk thinks he's just going off on one.
Yeah, but then Spock starts offering him these weird mysteries, like all this weird stuff's happening. There's like a rip in space. Typically, you don't describe things in space as a rip, so
To be fair, he does say it's a loose and inaccurate way of describing it.
it does. But regardless, it's a rip in space, and weird things are happening. And it's a very heady episode. I love this episode. This was very big ideas, very
Yeah.
wacky. I've got a couple of weird nitpicks about it. Uh, One of which is the worst fake beard in the history of television.
It's pretty bad.
Not only is it pretty bad, it is inconsistent. Now, I know what you're going to propose here. You're going to propose, oh, it's the different versions of them have slightly different beards. No, 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 no. It changes with the same version, within the same scene in some occasions, and how thick it is.
Some reshoots going on there.
There's times in this episode, in the same scene even, right? Like I say, sometimes it's within the same scene, where it'll almost be like whiskers because it's so thin, and then it'll like be really thick and bushy
Yeah.
compared to what it was before. I mean, it's a weird shape of a beard in and of itself, which is why it's a fake thing, because obviously no one actually has a beard like that because it's stupid. But like the consistency of it was absolutely appalling. I couldn't believe my eyes as I was tracking this beard.
It's pretty bad. I mean, it goes to show that it was quite a cheap episode. I think, other than the effects of just that was all done in the poster, but like, in terms of what was there wasn't much use of sets because they were outside and then they were on the ship. That's about it.
Aye, there was the usual sets that they've always got, and then one little
Yeah,
sort of rocky bit.
right, exactly. So it felt like kind of a cheap episode in that sense.
I don't care. Writing makes up for it.
It does. It does. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Here's the annoying
Let's know
thing,
what's
though.
going on with the beard stuff. It's just
But,
whatever we got lying around.
yeah, but here's the thing. They could have just said, maybe he doesn't have a beard. Problem solved.
They could have
It's
said
done.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's even cheaper. It's even cheaper.
Apparently, the beard was essential.
It's even cheaper. That's what I'm saying. If this was an effort to save money, just don't give him a beard. Easy.
It was essential.
Yeah, sure.
Essential to the character.
And the other weird complaint is there's a couple of little small points about how this whole parallel dimension hopping that I don't quite get. Like, it's not really, like, for example, the actual thing like in their ship that lets them travel to the other one. It just felt like, okay, so why was Kirk the one that travelled? Like, it felt like he was just sort of hanging half into the doorway. It wasn't really like he was in and sealed or anything like that. Or it's like, I don't understand why. I don't know. It was kind of murky. Like, they didn't really bother setting anything in stone as to how it worked. It was just kind of rough at best.
Yeah, but the concepts were great. So
The concepts were great. Oh, I loved it. It was, yeah, the one from our main universe wanted to kill the one from the we'll call it the B universe, Earth 2. We'll call it Earth 2, even though it's not Earth, but same difference. Because they're on some random planet in some part of the galaxy. But, like, so Lazarus 1 from our Earth, Lazarus 2 from Earth 2, right? That's how we'll refer to them. So Lazarus 1 wanted to kill Lazarus 2 because he became obsessed. Once he knew he existed, he became obsessed. And you get the impression that both of them were doing the same work on both sides when they ended up running into each other, because they both got the same kind of ship and they both did that. But for whatever reason, the one on our side, Lazarus 1, he went crazy with the idea that he wanted to kill his doppelganger. But as Spock and Kirk kind of explains throughout the episode, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the theory of matter versus antimatter, and if it ever collides, it causes destruction. And, like, so if this actually happens, if they now we see them strangling each other, but it's actually explained quite well later on, where Lazarus 2 is like, no, there's like a sort of doorway. They refer to it as a corridor, which is kind of this blue negative space, and in there they can interact. But if they ever do it actually in one of the universes outside of this corridor, that's where both of them will cease to exist.
That's it. It's quite smart, really, because it's at that point it's either matter or antimatter, depending on which universe they're in. But this in between space is nothing, essentially.
Yeah, which is why they can both coexist there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of comes in like, so when Kirk accidentally travels to the parallel Earth, or the parallel dimension, I should say, because they're not on Earth, but he meets Lazarus 2, who we have met before, because obviously he switched, and it turns out the reason why he stole the crystals off the ship was because he was trying to make sure the other Lazarus couldn't get them.
I like how up to this point it really sets up as Lazarus 1 is kind of he's kind of afraid, and he seems to be the good guy almost.
Yeah,
and 2 seems to be the evil version.
Because
it's kind of what it sets up.
Yeah, because he seems more confident and smug, and therefore it feels like he's probably the bad guy, but he's actually not. He's just level-headed. It's basically what it comes down to. But he explains to Kirk that he wants to, if he can trap him in the corridor and then have Kirk blow up their ship on his side, it'll destroy both ships, and as a result they'll be trapped in there and there'll be no risk of it ever happening. But it's actually quite a big sacrifice, because as Kirk points out, that means you'll be trapped in there forever, wrestling with this evil version of yourself, or maybe evil's not quite the right word, but more demented version of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really quite big ideas. It's, like trying to escape to another universe, being obsessed with your copy, and try to essentially delete them, like sort of make yourself the one and only again, kind of idea. I like it. I like the imagery. I think it looks cool. Every time it does this thing where it goes to this negative space, even though it's just a really simple camera trick.
Yeah, it's just overlaying the images and changing the transparency. It's
negative.
Nothing. But it's nothing complicated in what's actually going on.
No, but it looks
good.
really. It looks really surreal, and that lends credence to like what's going on, and it's kind of weird. It's an episode of great ideas. Like I just because obviously this isn't the first and last time Star Trek will do the well, maybe the first time. I don't know. Have we had an alternate universe story yet?
I don't think we have.
Okay, so it's maybe the first.
We've had time travel. We've had lots of gods.
Lots of godlike figures.
I
Yes.
think we've had an alternate Earth.
But I mean, that's obviously it won't be the last time we have alternate universes. Like we're going to, I mean, everyone makes fun of the evil mustache versions of all the, or I say I guess goatees actually, goatees not mustaches, of all the characters, and so obviously it's not the last time. But what I like about this is that this one really presents it as a mystery.
Yeah, definitely, because they're even at the very end. They're like, oh, I guess alternate universes have been suggested as possible, but we don't really know anything.
I just mean in terms of the way it tells its story. Like we have this guy, what's going on? Okay, there's this weird imagery. What the hell's happening? And it slowly reveals, and it's a twist almost that there is an alternate universe and that there's two copies of this person. I really like that idea of that twist. That there's two of this person. It's actually a really cool little idea.
Yeah, it is.
And it's purely it's kind of my favorite type of Star Trek where it's all about discovering the unknown. But this is less about discovering, because often it'll be like a type of species or a planet out in the space, which I do love. I love that stuff. But this is kind of unique in the sense that it's more the discovery of an idea.
Of the universe.
Yeah, this could have just been on Earth if they want. You could do this episode on Earth.
Yeah.
You could have a weird character popping up and then changing and. The big twist at the end is, oh shit, it's actually been two people, and the second one's actually the doppelganger from Earth 2.
Yeah, it makes no difference.
Flash writers, get on that. I feel like that's a really good idea for an episode of The Flash now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm sure they've thought about it.
That's just the end of the episode, a twist. Oh shit, it's actually been the Earth 2 version of Iris the whole episode for some reason.
Yep. Yeah.
Either for good or evil means, I don't know. But... no, I really like the idea. I like that it poses all these big questions. So
no, I agree. I think it's kind of in terms of like the ideas, it's probably the biggest Star Trek's been so far. Like often it's been very simple with its ideas, and the time travel stuff's kind of started hinting at bigger things, but this was straight out going, nah, this is big.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I think Star Trek, not always, because I mean, there's so much of it that I'm sure there's tons of silly stuff. And, next season when we get to Tribbles, we'll talk about other types of Star Trek episodes. But I think Star Trek is often theoretical science fiction, where it's based on the idea that this, there's an inkling of how this might happen someday. Like, yeah, we don't have transporters yet, but someone's thought about it. There were scientists who know their stuff, or thought about, okay, this is how it theoretically could be possible, but we just simply can't pull that off. The technology just doesn't exist to actually do it. And some of it's more obviously realistic than others. Some of it's more based in actual hard fact than others. And like we say, like Spock brings up, the idea of an alternate universe is definitely theoretical science. Like people have pondered this. Like, is there alternate dimensions, and what are they? What does it mean, and all these kind of things. But I feel like so much of Star Trek up until this point has been, like you say, simple science fiction ideas. They'll let us explore very sort of deep moral questions or social questions, and it explores those. Whereas I don't feel like here there's a lot of social exploration. There's maybe a little bit of good character stuff where you have this character who there's the light and dark side to him, and the light side's willing to sacrifice himself to.
Yeah, I guess it's down to the duality of man.
Yeah. So there is some cool stuff in there, but this one is definitely no. This is a fantastic science fiction idea. This is.
That's it. It's the difference, isn't it? Like instead of being a great commentary episode, it's just a great science fiction episode.
Yeah, and I am A-okay, and I will be perfectly happy if we get some more of these, and I'm sure we will. I mean, if not in the original series, I'm sure we'll get
some somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, like I say, we have like 3 7-season shows and then a 4-season show after this show, so plenty of room for all that stuff.
Plus the new show.
Yeah, but we're not going to wait to cover that. We're going to start covering that as it comes out.
We're doing that. We're not waiting.
Yeah, otherwise we won't get till like 2024 or something ridiculous like that. But no, I really like this episode. I can't compliment it enough.
This is one of the best yet.
It may be my favourite so far. Maybe. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to put.
I'd have to think about it. I don't want to go straight out and say that, but it's definitely like top 3 to 5 easily.
Yeah. I think. Well, I know something we talked about is doing a top 10 episodes when we finish the original series. Is it worth doing like a top 5 at the end of each season? I don't know.
Maybe.
It might be. I don't know. We'll think about it when we get. Yeah, because we only got a couple left. This was 27.
Yeah,
We've got two left, I think.
yeah.
So, uh, be curious to see, look back and say, okay, what was our favourites of the season? You know, do we have like a definitive top 5?
I'm sure
season
this
one?
this will definitely be in that discussion.
Absolutely. I really like this one. This was big ideas, cool visuals. Anything that dumbfounds Spock is usually a good time.
This is true.
Unless he's dumbfounded by human nature, in which case that's just normal.
It's still pretty fun, though.
Yeah, that's just Spock in a regular day, though. If it's a science thing that dumbfounds Spock, it's like, oh boy, okay, we're heading into La La Land here with this one. So no, good stuff. Actually, small note on one scene. I do think some of the extras could use some work in terms of their acting abilities. There was a scene where Lazarus is sitting in the rec room where they all have they come in and play games and stuff, and there was one extra. There was a female extra who we did actually see in another scene on the bridge taking an order from the captain, from Kirk, and she's already sitting down. Another female extra walks over and sits down, and then this male extra comes in and sort of puts his hands on the table. It's like, hey, how are you? And I thought it was going to be like he's like flirting with him scene, and it wasn't. It was just this was the way he'd played it. This was his the way he phrased this question, the way he put his hands on the table. It was like, hey ladies, I'm going to try and impress you. Hey, I'm like a pimp daddy.
Maybe he was gonna, but then he chickened out.
And instead he just says something about the coffee, and she says, yeah, I know it's bad, right? And yeah,
what I think happened is he said it like that, thinking he was gonna hit on them, and then they were just like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, quick, change course. Can't do that anymore.
Wait, do you think that was the character making that choice, or do you think the actor thought, I'm going to play this like I'm flirting, and then he just got nothing back?
I have no idea, but either it could be amusing either way. I don't think the director could give a damn at that point.
Possibly not. So no, I think it's also worth noting that if we're going with the theory that this is a cheaper episode, a few of the main cast members are missing. No Sulu, no Scotty.
Yeah, it was pretty much just Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Yeah, and obviously Lazarus, who's our main guest star, with his ridiculous fake beard of varying thicknesses and.
I do think though it's interesting that this is a cheaper episode. I think by the look of it, and I think it's often that maybe that's what kind of comes up with a lot of these good ideas because they're forced to be creative, and that often leads to some great ideas.
It's really funny watching it now with that mindset though, because obviously by our standards today, they all kind of look cheap in a way, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like, for them an expensive episode was like, oh, we get to have some big sets with some nice big backdrops, and it's like, that still looks cheap to us now because it's, it's 1960s TV. Yeah. So to us, we almost don't even see the benefit of that. It's like almost we do appreciate the better ideas in the writing way more than we do.
Right, but that's I think constraints in the budget force the creatives to do something different, and it's like, okay, what can we do that's cheaper? And it leads to, all right, well, we can just do some cheap visual effects rather than actually having to build anything.
Yeah. I love science fiction stories like this where it is all kind of theoretical and there's very little visual effects to go with it. I recently watched a movie called Coherence, which was kind of about alternate dimensions. And it's basically a movie with a group of characters at a dinner party. And it all takes place in the house. All of it.
They're good?
I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was a really smartly little written movie. Nicholas Brendan's in it, who was on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm, very good. You had to get it in here somehow, didn't you?
But it was, like he was in it.
How recent was this movie?
2013. So not
fair enough.
A couple of years, not a lot. It was pretty solid. And again, along those lines, I'd say that's a more polished version of something like Primer, which I think is still worth watching. But Primer's very dry though. It's good science fiction and very heady, but it's also very dry. It watches like a textbook at times. Still worth seeing if you like that kind of thing though. But this kind of hard sci-fi, low budget. It's just people in a room, but you have the idea. Yeah. And you just let the idea work.
I think what it is then you can't rely on the visual spectacle. You have to have the idea to have something good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got all the budget, you can kind of just cover it up, and it's never going to be as good, but it can seem good because it's got it looks good. Whereas if you've got the idea, that's all you need.
Yeah, yeah. And I always appreciate that. It's just one of my favorite things about low budget films is when they just have a simple idea. Like that's why I like bottle stories a lot of the time. I love the idea of like, how do you just get a group of characters in a room and make it engaging and make it fascinating, and to the point where it's even more engaging than the biggest budget film with battles of thousands of people. But no,
it's because that's it. Because you're forced to. Because you've got nothing to cover it up. You have to have great conversation.
That's it though. I don't want to. I don't want to dispute part of your phrasing there, or at least not your phrasing, but your. I don't think every time it's happened it's because it's been forced upon the filmmakers.
No. I just mean, if you could, right, let's say you've got no big expensive battle scene, so you've just got dialogue. By its nature, your dialogue has to be good. Like, it has to be great.
Yeah, but I don't want to point out though that some filmmakers will want to have that type of movie and would rather do that.
Oh, of course. I don't mean this is because they can't have that. I just mean even if they make the choice to do this instead of having that choice still means their writing has to be good. It has to be excellent to keep you engaged.
There you go. That's the alternative factor. One of my favourites of the show so far. Loved it a lot. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. Head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support the channel and everything we do here. Part of the perks of going over there and signing up is you get these episodes of Star Trek reviews a week early. So, yeah, so there you go. That's something nice. But otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching. Keep watching TV, and we'll see you next time.